Hi, I'm Thomas Dougherty. I'm going to give you some beautiful words. I take tips, too. I'm going to pass the hat around, you know. This is from my novella, The Blue City, which is a kind of dark, noir story set place in my ancestral Budapest, where my great-grandparents were from. And in the book, there's these many cities. There's the yellow city, the red city, the black city, the blue city, cities within cities. And it's nice to follow Katie because she talks about ruins, and it's about, I think, the cities which are ruinous and holy, both inside and outside us. I'm going to read the chapter called In the Light of the Yellow City. Taxicabs, trams, cartwheels, like light glinting off a boy as he unzips his trousers and laughs as he pees outside a parked car. The yellow city is the city of faces paused and past, elephants who sway against iron gates, balloons dancing above orphans from the war. In the light of the yellow city, in the trans light, the danced light, and the light that makes an onion sing, and the light of the street vendor and the traffic signal, and the voices of school children calling their games, and the playgrounds and the yards of prisons, and the light that lifts the eyes up to the blue sky, to the towers that gleam. In this light, where work is where one goes to and comes from, in the unemployed and in the indigent, in the school skipper and the calligraphy of graffiti scrawled against a schoolyard wall. This light is juice squeezed. In the yellow city, summer is the season. Thomas lit a cigarette, wiped his hands on his fish oil smeared smock. We were standing in the dim yellow light outside the great market, a lull in the late afternoon crowd. People seem to suggest that the city of the yellow light is the simplest to understand, that most carry through it with their burdens untouched. See the faces? That woman over there and the green net hat and her long coat, how she passes. What do you know of her, he asks. And what do we know of her or any, and they of me? Thomas flicked his cigarette to the cement, snubbed it with his boot. Long before dusk and the end of the day, before high noon, before it was time to get back to work, the lines were about to begin as the market filled with the afternoon shoppers, the second wave of women and the old who came at lunch to eat and barter and buy. I must leave, I said. I had to leave because I had nowhere to go. Lately, I'd noticed how Thomas grew anxious in the moments before I left him there to sing and weigh. I asked Marta if he was all right. I wondered, was he sick, or was I seeing the tilt of where I'd turned? Marta didn't look up. She said, he suspects more than he knows. He thinks he knows more than he does. She'd utter these sentences as if she just said, the milk is behind the juice. He's worried about you, she added, looking up from her notebook. It was late in the afternoon. You have to go, she said. Get some sleep. He is right about that, you know. Soon you will disappear from us unless you deal with what you have been doing. Is it your dreams again? Is it her? I didn't answer. You need to confess, Marta said. But to confess, you need to believe what you have done. But the yellow city, Thomas knows. He knows their priests are the street musicians and children, the upturned mouths of cases catching coins at the yellow subway and yellow tram stations, the yellow saxophone that invents its own noise, the shape of birds flying in the old pensioner's hand. He, who is known only as his solo, his sequence, shards of fine bones, his long coat like the ones from the war men still wear, as they beg with their half-gloved hands, some telling jokes or fabulous tales, others simply nodding their despair. What do we know? His solo, you could see him in the Black City, in the City of Night, in black chapeau and raincoat, but he would have to give up noise for music. Joseph, remember? Remember, man? Remember how we sat in the Club of Cool Confessions when we were young and watched him play? He was old and brilliant even then. Is that really him, here on the street in the yellow light? It was a Saturday in late summer. We were sitting on the public benches in the square beside the bookstore, where the statue of the great novelist of the last century stared at the statue of the modernist poet as if to say goodbye. It was in that space, between where we had often sat, where Marta had taken us both at different times, in different years, to talk of language and the things that shift. Thomas leaned forward. Hear that riff? Can you even call it that? Once, I stood beside a woman I didn't know, out on the street, watching him feel his fingers find the keys, furious riff that challenged the street. She was young, beautiful. She suddenly said out loud, "He plays the exact sound my body makes when I shudder." The children shimmied the street in their single file lines up to school. When the spring breaks to bring the rain and the flowers come in waves, the children kick and clean. It is the yellow light that sings. Balloons of conversation floated, balloons that balanced on their own strings. You see, what do we know? The city of the yellow light is the cruelest, Thomas said. In all its glory, there is no intimate exchange. It is the most public, and as such, the least private. It is the color of passing. It is the color of things that fade. The architecture is a form of light, a curve that passes through a crowd, the kind of string that reconnects and snaps, the billowy dresses of girls that run to catch the yellow train, their bags filled with the folded shape of body parts. A policeman does a little dance as he bends to catch his hat. When I was a boy, Thomas tells, it was all flowers in the city of yellow light. The young people who were old to me then had anointed the priests and the police who claimed to rule the black city, but only rule the city of their own despair, could not calm the sun. Their nervous horses pouted on the streets. Do you remember? Your mother must have taken you to draw the crowds back outside the parliament. I remember my father washing his face and the smell of fish from his skin and dressing me in my finest white shirt that I was only allowed to wear to church, and he and my mother leading us down the boulevard to the great square of the Liberators, where all the musicians were gathered in a great opera to acclaim the victory of the city of yellow light. I remember there were midgets dancing on the benches holding handwritten signs, or were they children whose faces were painted with politicians' beards? There were dogs to pet everywhere, and the air was full of flowers and balloons and speeches from platforms, and the old women brought great wicker baskets packed with sardine sandwiches and fruit, and parents clapped and clapped, and my father lifted me high on his shoulders to see the speakers, and they made wreaths of flowers and hung them on the statue of the general's shoulders. The air was gold, the light was gold spun from air. The sweet sweepers did a little dance with their broom and handed out hard candy. The teamsters drove their trucks into the square, my mother said, to block the cars, to keep the peace. Peace was the word for the yellow city then. The city had become a field of peace. Those last months of my childhood, do you remember how alive the city became? And at the market, my father said it was like a circus of street performers balancing with umbrellas. Yes, the streets were a circus, and all the musicians stayed all afternoon and played in every square. And there was dancing and paint and marches like parades, and there were stilt walkers and giant puppets, and everything was stringed and singing. After that, Thomas stopped. He looked down at his hands. It all stopped.